Okay, so Rav, in this section, what are we going to talk about? This for me is the kind of biggie, but what are we going to discuss?
I think we've previously mentioned that Synergy are a company who really carefully selects products, and they really engineer, in health supplement terms, products to do specific things. Now, they have come up with a range of products which act together to reset your gut microbiome. And by reset, what I mean is they introduce a whole range of prebiotics, vitamins, minerals, nutrition to feed the gut microbiome, because we now know how important the gut microbiome is in terms of our general health and well-being.
Okay.
There's so much information there about the microbiome and the impact it has on all aspects of both our physical and psychological well-being.
Yeah.
And this program from Synergy is called Purify.
Yeah.
It's fairly wide-ranging in terms of its scope. If you decide to embark on the program, it will last for about 3 weeks, but you should use it just as a stepping stone to better overall health.
Okay. So before we get into any detail, you use the word microbiome several times there. So first question, what is the microbiome?
So the microbiome is composes those bacteria, fungi, viruses, other living particles, other types of RNA, DNA that live in and on us. Our skin is completely covered in bugs. Our gut contains 3 to 4 pounds of bacteria, which are absolutely vital to body function. Now, if you think how we are sort of going down a route of living in a sterile environment, and we are currently in the habit of washing our hands and cleaning and washing all surfaces, that's to get rid of one particular virus. But there's hundreds of millions, billions of viruses and bacteria and fungus, yeast type elements that are absolutely critical to our general well-being. So we have to be careful what we choose to get rid of and what we try and stimulate the growth of. But if you can imagine a 2-kilo bag of sugar,
yeah,
it's fairly heavy.
Yeah,
that is the weight of bacteria and viruses and fungi that compromise our microbiome, and they are vital to our well-being. So people go on weight loss programs, don't lose that 2 kilos, because you can't function without it.
So when you say compromises it, what do you mean?
Well, it's compromised through antibiotics, for example. We take antibiotics to get rid of infection. But the thing is, antibiotics are very non-specific.
Right.
And there's so much research done now which shows that if you take antibiotics for certain infection, it actually plays a huge impact on your gut microbiome diversity. And it takes several weeks to get that back to normal. That's why after an infection, when people have antibiotics, they often feel lethargic and wiped out for a few weeks. It's not because of the infection that they took the antibiotic for, it's because of the effect of the antibiotic on their diversity of their gut microbiome.
Okay. So what does the microbiome actually do? We've got bacteria, fungi, viruses, and whatever. What does it do in the gut? What's it there for?
It regulates so many activities. You'd think your gut is just there for digestion.
Yeah.
But actually the microbiome is there. It improves your immune system. It stimulates it.
Okay.
Your gut microbiome protects other microbes from invading your gut. So you have a population which is there as your army, which is protecting your gut from dangerous toxins and pathogens. It helps to eliminate things like heavy metals. It helps to eliminate pollutants. It regulates the way that things like estrogen are absorbed. It directly manufactures certain elements which control our psychology. We've all heard of the your gut instinct or your gut feeling. The microbiome produces things like GABA and serotonin and dopamine, which are vital to our psychological and mental well-being.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
I mean, I've done a couple of 1-hour lectures on the microbiome, Paul, which I think we're going to have linked onto the site,
Sure.
which goes into far more detail on the microbiome, its function, the diversity, how it changes from your mouth to your rear end.
Yeah.
There's so much information, and I don't think we can cover it all in this brief introduction to Synergy's Purify range.
No, sure. I mean, a couple of things that I'll say. So I'll kind of declare, my own kind of interest in this is that I used to have bouts of depression, and in terms of serotonin, I've been on antidepressants on and off for over a period of a few years. So I got really interested in this when I heard that one of the things that it does is produce serotonin.
Yeah.
And as a coach, what I became fascinated by is that in terms of my coaching, I coach in terms of the mind. I also coach in terms of how to generate energy, so that you can help clear your mind. But I'd never really considered, it's like we actually have 3 brains. You've got your brain, you've got your heart, but also now what I understand is that the gut, as you say, gut feeling, it's a very strong conductor of your instinct, intuition, that kind of thing, which is fascinating. And the other thing that I found really mind-blowing, if I remember this rightly, is that although it's the weight of a bag of sugar, because these things are so small, we're actually, if I understand it right, we've got more cells or more things in us which are non-human than human. Is that right?
If we were to liquidize a human, look at the DNA that we had, only 10% would be human, and 90% would be from these other things that are vital to our well-being, that live in us and on us without us knowing.
Yes. So, which to me is not just fascinating, but it then tells me that I've got this metaphor in terms of like the barrier reef, You've got all of this life around the barrier reef, which enables the barrier reef to be, fresh and fertile and whatever, move aside climate warming, etc., etc. But if you mess around with the things that are feeding off it, then the barrier reef suffers. And so we mess around with things like antibiotics, etc., etc., then our gut suffers. And if our gut suffers, then our defense system suffers, our mind suffers. So it has a huge impact.
Absolutely right, Paul. Yeah. I mean, mentioning antibiotics briefly, only 20% of the global production of antibiotics is taken by humans. 80% is used in farming and animal husbandry. And that's animal on land and also fish. So we are consuming antibiotics without realizing it.
Right.
And something has to give at some stage in food manufacture so that there isn't that huge amount of good microbes being destroyed by antibiotics.
Right.
And it's all well and good governments, preaching to doctors about your prescribing these very potent medications in a haphazard fashion, and you must stop doing it. Because usually we prescribe because we're trying to stop infection or illness, or because people's perception of what we should be doing. But when 80% is used in farming that we never know about, we don't really stand a chance.
No.
Because if human prescribing of antibiotics went to 0, there'd still be a phenomenal amount in the food chain.
Yeah.
And these are issues that, as a society, we really have to address.
Okay. So, and that also then indicates very clearly that this, am I right in saying, is a kind of ongoing process? So you kind of tend to your microbiome. I mean, would you do the Purify thing once a year? Is it as a kind of maintenance thing once you started, or what?
I think you need to do it once. And if people are going to embark on this, you have to realize that you're going to feel change. because you're changing your ingrained habits. People get used to eating a certain diet.
Yeah.
And if you look at what you eat over the course of a month, your food choices will be really, really fairly standard from January to December. If you analyze what you've eaten, you will eat the same types of food in the same regularity over the course of a month.
Yeah.
And what you're doing with the Purify program is you're giving yourself a chance to make a change and just feel how your body is having made that decision.
Okay.
And what tends to happen over the 3-week program of Purify is that people's food choices change. And it's purely because you start to feel so much better in terms of your vitality, your energy levels, your sleep pattern, your skin radiance. Usually people do lose weight, although it's not a weight loss program. And the reason for that is that we now know that the gut microbiome is incredibly important in terms of regulating our metabolic rate, our metabolism, the way that we process foods. So that's the reason it works. It's not because you are reducing calories.
Yeah.
It's because you're actually changing one of the drivers of your metabolism.
So your body's becoming more effective.
Yeah, it's utilizing foods in a more efficient way.
Okay.
But also because your microbiome produces so many chemicals that are the drivers of cells in our body, everything starts to function in a more efficient way.
Okay. So 2 questions. One is, if it's 3 weeks, then that's a fair commitment of time.
Yeah.
How would you advise people to kind of prepare for this mentally and maybe physically? And I've forgotten what the second one is, so I'll have those as being my 2 reasons, 2 questions.
Okay, so most people will start a change in lifestyle on the 1st of January.
Yes.
That is the date where they are going to make change.
And they give up on the 3rd.
I always ask the question, why would you ignore 364 other opportunities to make a change to your well-being? Whether it's to start exercising, to stop smoking, to drink less, to be nicer to your mother-in-law, whatever your choice is on that day,
Wow.
January the 1st, why would you only offer yourself one opportunity?
Yeah.
So I would say about looking at your microbiome, if you're watching this video and you're thinking, that sounds really interesting, I want to make a change, pick a date that's sooner rather than later. Because once you've made the mental decision, take the steps and go with it. Let your imagination take you where you want to be led.
Yeah.
Don't put a brake on it or a halt. You know, this isn't the right time. That isn't. You can make a million excuses to not do something.
Sure. Okay.
But take the opportunity to make change.
One thing I just put in there is that also, so whoever is actually going to support you through this, I would also say, add to that, give them a call, right? You're watching this, give them a call, say, right, I'm starting this on whenever it is, and ask them to hold you to account. So
Yeah,
you actually form it's kind of like a buddy system whereby you go, okay, I've said it now. I've told this person that, you know, whatever I do, say, no, you said, so that you're locked in. That's a strong piece of coaching.
Well, the other real key to this program, Paul, is that you will be supported through it.
Yes.
Whoever's introduced you to Synergy will almost certainly have done the Purify program themselves.
Yes.
Because as an organization, it's for people really who become a group of friends. They know each other, they support each other. But you as an individual coming in going, I'd like to do something about my gut microbiome, whoever introduced you to Purify will help you through it. You're not on your own. You are going to be supported. There's a huge amount of supporting literature. There's advice on meals you can make. There's advice on exercise programs. This is something where you will do something like a lifestyle analysis before you start, so you know where you are.
Yeah.
And that's not something you'll do yourself. Someone will probably take you through it.
Yeah.
They will then almost hold your hand through the 3 weeks and give you the support that you need. because you're making choices, some of which are difficult. Your body craves things like sugar and caffeine.
Yeah.
It's not surprising for the first few days that you start the program where you actually feel lousy.
Yeah.
And you think, what have I done? I don't like this. It's making me not feel, you told me I was going to feel great, but I feel lousy.
Okay.
And that's because your body is resetting or readjusting to a different way of nutrition.
Okay.
But it's not just about the Purify, because what we try and encourage you to do is you look at your lifestyle in general. Could you do a bit more exercise during that 3 weeks? Even if it's a 15-minute walk, where previously you've done no walking. You don't have to go to the gym 7 days, 20 for the 21 days. You can do something as simple as just go for a walk.
Yeah.
Be a bit mindful, take some time for yourself.
Yeah.
Think about yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's only when you can have that self-reflection that you really have an opportunity to benefit from what the program has to offer.
Sure.
Because you're going to take the supplements, and they are health supplements. This isn't medicine we're giving you, it's nutrition.
Okay.
But you're also going to eliminate some things that you maybe do habitually. You may drink alcohol every day, and to get the most from the program, you should probably not drink for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then introduce alcohol maybe towards the end. You should reduce the amount of caffeine that you're having. You should reduce the amount of sugar. Maybe eat less processed foods. Simple things that most people would do. If I'm going on a diet, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But this isn't a diet.
Right.
This is a nutritional program of change.
It's kind of an adjustment in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So again, what I would then suggest is for people to have this conversation with the person that is going to support you through that. And also maybe consider that you start this on a Friday evening, because if you've got a couple of days where you might feel a bit groggy or whatever timing in your week, that you can actually kind of allow yourself to go, okay, I'm okay with this. I don't need to be in peak, performance mode or whatever like that.
Yep.
So it may be that you start it on a Friday evening and you can go through the weekend as an example.
Absolutely. But just think to yourself, I want to make this step. I really want to look after my own health and my well-being.
Yeah.
Because I think we've spoken about this on previous little videos that we've done, Paul, is that in this time where there is a virus for which you can't go and see your doctor and be written a prescription and it'll make you better, you have to look at your own health and your own immunity and what steps can you take to improve your well-being.
Yeah, and that's actually what's so exciting about this, because in a time where I think so many people are feeling helpless, it's like, well, what do I do? Actually, this is something that is proactive, regardless of Corona, regardless of that, but including that in particular, if you actually do this. So it sounds to me like the benefits are mentally, you'll feel probably more alert.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is when you were talking about how your body actually processes food and digests, because again, one of the things I heard is your body expends more energy on digestion than anything else.
Virtually, yeah, absolutely.
So if that's sluggish, then that's also why people will be feeling tired. So then it's not out of the question you'll feel an increase in energy. If you've got an increase in energy, you've got an increase in vitality, you feel better psychologically. So the whole thing, there's huge benefits and reasons to do it. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yep, absolutely, Paul.
Okay, good. So how would I start?
Well, the first thing, you have to inform somebody. The person that introduced you to Synergy, I think they have to be your mentor in this. Yeah. It is a program you can do on your own. You can just go online, buy the Purify product and do it on your own. There is a guide in with each pack, but I think it helps if you can join either your mentor or there are quite a few groups running now. Well, also
within our Facebook group, you could also then comment in there if you need any help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't need to do it in isolation, but you can do it in isolation. Yeah. And probably your success is going to be greater if you can do it in a group of people where you're sharing the experience. Yeah. You can give each other tips and clues, and I've tried this, I've done that in terms of my cravings or my diet. Yeah. So it is something, you can do it individually, but you'll probably get more out of it if you're doing it with a group of other people.
I agree. And also, just one other thing on that. If you've got somebody that's experienced in this and you're going, God, you know, I'm just feeling really sluggish and whatever,
Yep.
if you actually hear that that is perfectly normal,
Yep.
then it gives you encouragement to stay on track. And you know, if you do need a day or two just to kind of be with this, so if you know that it's normal, then you know that you're going in the right direction, because you
Yep.
then know that it's going to be, you know, blue sky in a couple of days, in a day or 2 days or something like that.
Absolutely. So over the 3-week program, it's really done in 3 phases. Phase 1 is what we call the priming phase. That's where you will take one supplement, and we'll go through the different supplements in a while.
Sure.
But really what you're doing in that phase is almost mentally preparing yourself for change, but also starting to make some dietary change.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time that you will eliminate alcohol, caffeine, processed foods if you can. Try and reduce the amount of starchy carbohydrate that you're eating. Try and introduce a bit more fresh fruit and vegetable. And if you think of the combination of fruit and vegetables as being a rainbow, you want to try and eat as many different colors as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So things like aubergine, orange, cabbage, lettuce, avocado, banana, you know, just think of the range of colors that are there with fruit and veg.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we know is that each has a different combination of vitamins, minerals, trace elements, etc. So you are going to get nutrition and nourishment from the health supplement side of things, from the Purify. But also you want that diversity from your own dietary choices. And that's really important. And look at the types of protein that you're having. Try and cut down the amount of red meat. If you are not vegan, chicken and fish are good choices, as I think everyone knows. Mm-hmm. If you are vegan, look at a diverse range of beans, pulses, etc. Mm-hmm. There's enough protein out there for global consumption. If you think 2/3 of the world's population is vegetarian or vegan, 2/3 of 6 billion, however many, 7 billion people.
7,
so try and start making those choices. So that's days 1 to 5. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is the phase where you have 2 lots of shakes per day, together with something which Sinji called DT. It's a bulking agent, full of fiber, full of nutrition for the gut. That's when you will also take a probiotic, and there's no right or wrong probiotic, but this one is in a spore form, and we'll talk about that. It's very well absorbed. It's not destroyed in the stomach, and it forms a good base probiotic.
Okay.
You'll also take proarginine, and you know from the proargi talks that we've done, it's fantastic for circulatory support, cardiovascular support, dilating blood vessels, making sure that there's maximum blood flow to the gut.
So just on that, so what impact does that have if you've got maximum blood flow to the gut?
It means that your gut wall is a single cell thick. Mm-hmm. So it means that you are really providing all of the nutrient support that's in your body to your gut. Mm-hmm. And it's a symbiotic relationship between the gut bacteria and the lining of your bowel.
Okay, excuse me. Symbiotic means?
It means it's a partnership.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a working partnership.
Gotcha.
Because they are us. Our gut bacteria are us, and we have to supply them with the perfect environment for them to thrive in.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the other thing, we've already started with the prime, which was the magnesium, and we'll talk about that. You then have the shakes and the probiotic and the DT and the proargi, which you take for a 7-day period. And then for the phase 3, it's a continuation phase. And that's where you will continue to use the Pro-RG, continue to take the Prime, which is the magnesium, and also continue to take the probiotic.
Okay.
Until the end of the 21 days.
All right. Can I just come back to why increased blood flow in the gut? What does that benefit? What's the advantage there? What is it?
Well, it benefits, importantly, your absorption of all the nutrients that you're taking from both the change in diet and the health supplements.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
Yeah.
If your gut microbiome is producing all of these wonderful elements that we need for brain function, that we need for our immunity, that we need for just the functioning of all our cells, so our body is working at its optimal capacity, then you need to ensure that that single layer that is lining your gut is as healthy as it can be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It's
quite technical. It's quite technical.
Yeah, but is it then?
And I need to explain it in a way that isn't so technical.
No, I know, I get it, which is why I'm just going, okay, I'm kind of getting there. But does it then mean that the cardiovascular system is where all the goodness from the gut is then delivered into, and then it's delivered around the body, or what?
Well, your gut is surrounded by blood vessels.
Right.
And what a lot of the blood flow will go to your liver.
Yeah.
Because your liver is like it's the engine of your body. It detoxifies, it produces, it breaks down and makes available the foodstuffs that you're absorbing, which your gut hasn't already done. That is then transferred to the rest of your body. You can look at your kidneys as elements that are getting rid of excess ammonia, reabsorbing water as necessary. So having the increased blood flow means that all of the other organs other than your gut are functioning to their optimal capacity.
Great. Cool. So everything is getting delivered better.
So everything's getting delivered and everything's going to areas where toxins and waste should go. So you're eliminating the bad stuff and you're absorbing the good stuff.
Perfect.
That was what I should have said 5 minutes ago.
Perfect. No, that's great, because you see, here's the thing. It's like when you start to see, for me, again, appropriate use of the word, when you see these different products working in synergy,
yeah,
then suddenly it makes sense. It's like, okay, so you're changing all of this, so then you improve the delivery system because you got better volumes of stuff that needs to go all over the place.
Yes.
So that those different organs can then do what they do in terms of processing it, sending it to other parts of the body, and also eliminating it. So the body is then functioning better.
Yeah. Yes.
As a layman, I thank you. Great. This is cool, because this is, you see, this is the other thing. It's just so that people get whatever level of understanding they want. And I kind of go, yeah, but what does that switch do? It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, great.
Right. What should we move on to the products?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Happy to do this in one take, Paul, if you're happy to do it in one take.
Yeah. No, let's
carry on.
That's where we're at.
Right. So, importantly, when you do the Purify program, you get a full support guide, which tells you exactly what to take at what time.
Okay.
And I don't think I need to reiterate what times you take everything.
If it's there, then that's the information is
all
there.
the information is there.
Perfect.
It's there.
Good. And again, that will be validated by your support as well. So, just to make sure that you got everything clear, so that when you're ready to rock and roll, you got that sorted.
Yeah. Right. So the first thing that you will take,
Body Prime.
is Body Prime.
Okay.
Now, Body Prime is magnesium, apple pectin, and prune powder.
Right.
And you go, so what? What's that supposed to do? Magnesium is a mineral that's involved in almost every process in your body. I'm just going to give you some magnesium facts, Paul.
Great.
It is pretty much everywhere on Earth. It's the 4th most abundant element on Earth.
Wow.
and the 9th most abundant element in the universe.
Wow.
There you go. That's something I didn't know.
No, that's a big wow.
But that's worth taking for that alone.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the 3rd most common element dissolved in seawater.
Okay.
Have you heard of magnesium before?
No. I've heard of magnesium, but not in salt water.
It's at the center of the chlorophyll molecule in plants.
Ah, okay.
So any dark green plant material is a rich source of magnesium.
Okay.
It's central to all of our energy forming reactions in every cell in the body, and it's involved in over 300 enzyme pathways.
You've lost me on the pathways thing, but I'm
So cells depend on chemical reactions. So it's involved in 300 of those important chemical reactions.
Okay.
I mean, historically, it's been a much bigger part of our diet because our diets used to be different. We didn't used to eat processed foods. We used to eat far more leafy green vegetables. And we also used to get our water from the ground, from minerals that had leached into springs, etc.
Sure.
But now all of our water's treated, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's this incredibly important chemical that no one's ever heard of, but it impacts so many things like muscle function, brain function, sleep. It has a huge impact on the gut microbiome.
Right.
And now I'm going to tell you something that probably won't surprise you, Paul, because you've heard this sort of thing from me before. It's estimated, in fact, a survey done between 2014 and 2016 on about 8,000 people, which is a fair sample size, showed that 70% of that population in the UK were magnesium deficient.
Wow. Okay.
I think Michael Mosley, who is a doctor I really respect, did a few pieces on it a few years ago, but since then it's been forgotten. Right. So, magnesium in Body Prime.
Sorry, so do you have a list of things that if you're deficient in it, what does that tend to trigger or cause?
So when you are magnesium deficient, you get things. Have you ever had a twitchy eye?
Yeah, loads of times.
Well, you're thinking it's because I'm not sleeping properly. Or,
loads of times, yeah.
So magnesium is important for sleep.
Okay.
It's also important for muscle function.
Okay.
And this twitchy eye that only you can feel and you think it's huge, but no one can actually see, is often caused by magnesium deficiency.
Okay.
So when you feel lethargic or you feel like your muscles are fatigued, it can be due to magnesium deficiency.
Okay.
Importantly, it's incredibly vital for normal, regular heart rhythm.
Okay.
And when you're magnesium deficient, it can be one of the causes of irregular heartbeat, which can have all sorts of outcomes, which I don't need to go into here.
Sure.
So it's something that doctors rarely measure the level of, but in every NHS practice, you can have your magnesium levels monitored.
Okay.
So this is...
So it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Body Prime.
Yeah.
The other thing magnesium does is it helps to regulate your bowel function.
Right.
And that's the other reason that this has got apple pectin and prune powder in, is the magnesium draws some fluid into your bowel and stops you being constipated.
Right.
Because the reason that you produce a stool is you want to get rid of all of those elements your body doesn't need and eject them.
Yeah.
But when the bowel isn't functioning normally, you become constipated and you get bloating and abdominal pain and lethargy, and you don't want to eat because you're getting backed up, and everything sort of goes into a shutdown mode. And if you've ever seen a kid who's constipated, they're incredibly irritable. Old people just become, they don't want to do anything. Older people, you just switch off.
Right.
Because there's something not right. Again, it's your gut telling you something is wrong. It's that gut feeling.
Yeah.
So the magnesium also helps to regulate your bowel.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. That's
Do
just
you want to
one
ask me any
product.
questions on magnesium?
Yeah, it's just one product, and it's in terms of its.
So this in itself, forget the rest of Purify.
Yeah.
I think if you only took Prime,
Yeah,
you'd be doing your general health a whole lot of good.
for sure.
But it's helping your gut microbiome. So that's one of the 5 elements.
The heart, bowel movement, sleep, non-twitchiness, muscle function, just that one product. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay. Amazing. Next one.
So that's good.
That's amazing.
Another small bottle. This is the probiotic
Okay.
Biome Actives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a formulation which has 1 probiotic, Bacillus coagulans, and each capsule is about 1 billion units. The other important thing in Biome Actives is that it contains inulin.
Okay.
Inulin is a prebiotic. There is no point in taking a probiotic if you do not have prebiotics, because prebiotics are that fertile soil on which probiotics thrive.
Okay.
If you're only going to have a probiotic and not do anything about prebiotics, it's like sprinkling the most magnificent wildflower seeds on a slab of concrete.
Right.
They will not thrive. So Synergy have been quite smart in having a 2-in-1 capsule.
Yeah, I don't know that I've heard of that before. So that's interesting.
So this is only 1 probiotic. It's in a spore form. So that means that it's not going to be destroyed in the stomach. So the majority of it will be delivered to your gut.
So what do probiotics do? And also, when I hear you say spore, why does it bring mushrooms to mind? Because they have.
Well, a spore is a capsule.
Okay.
A spore is like a hard shell.
Okay.
So it's a protective shield.
Okay.
For the good bacteria to get to your bowel.
Right.
Your stomach is basically acid. It's hydrochloric acid.
Yes.
We don't know how much of a probiotic will make it through that acid barrier, which is there to protect us, into the gut where it can do the good. There's all sorts of probiotic if you go to Holland & Barrett, for example, look online, there are literally thousands of combinations of probiotic. We don't currently, because we don't have enough scientific expertise, know which are good ones and which are bad ones.
Okay.
We know that Bacillus coagulans is a good one. It's a good sort of bedrock of your gut microbiome. But when you've got billions and trillions of bacteria and thousands of different species, because we haven't really paid attention to it, we don't know yet what is a good combination. What we do know is that different bacteria thrive in the gut when we are suffering from different medical conditions.
Yeah.
What we don't know is which bacteria we can use as a pharmaceutical, nutraceutical agent to treat illness yet. I'm sure we will.
Okay.
So probiotics are also in things like natural yogurt.
Yes.
So if you have natural yogurt, there's plenty of this. I think it's usually 3 to 5 types of bacteria which you can take, which will be helpful to your gut. Things like kefir, which is a type of a fermented milk, full of lots of different types of probiotic. Fermented vegetable like sauerkraut,
yes,
or kimchi, which is the Korean spicy form of fermented vegetable.
Right.
You know, they contain fiber as a prebiotic and loads of bacterial diversity from fermenting.
Okay. So what does a probiotic then actually do? So you got the prebiotic, which is the soil, and the probiotic is then in the...
So a probiotic is what we would consider to be a good bacteria for your gut. Okay. Because what you're trying to do, from reducing refined, artificially produced, mass manufactured food to eating a more diverse diet, is that you are trying to increase the number of different types of bacteria in your gut.
Okay, right.
Because when you have a poor diet, when you have a diet that's very high in sugar, high in processed foods, high in alcohol, the number of bacterial diversity narrows.
So this for me is when the barrier reef starts to die.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's happening.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So you want to have that diversity.
Okay, great. Terrific.
Does that make sense?
That's great. Amazing. Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. So thank you.
Okay. The next thing we're going to mention is Biome DT.
Biome DT. Okay.
Now, this is the fiber element of the Purify program. And this contains psyllium husk,
yeah,
which is a fantastic source of fiber.
Yeah.
Glutamine. It also contains inulin, the prebiotic again. So the company are thinking, how can we maximize what these guys, what these people, men, women, are going to adapt in their diet to stimulate as much as possible bacterial diversity.
Okay.
It also contains apple fruit, flaxseed, broccoli, green tea, cabbage, carrot, red beetroot, turmeric. We all know how good turmeric is for us now. Olive leaf, grapeseed, which again contains that thing called resveratrol, great for cardiovascular health.
Mm-hmm.
All in one nutritious sachet. You mix it with water. It's quite gloopy because of all the fiber.
Amazing.
This makes you pass a stool, I don't know, which is almost like a hippo on the banks of the Umpopo River. It's
I have no idea.
It's really good. It's really good at stimulating your bowel to work. Okay. It provides all the fiber that those microbiome needs.
Okay.
But it clears the effluent.
Right. Do we need to know about the hippo bit? Because you totally lost.
Well, you can have the mental image. I think when you've got a mental picture of something, you can just think, that's why this is happening. It's that good fiber.
Folks, if you're watching this and you've got a clear mental image, then just leave a message in the Facebook group, because I've got all sorts of stuff going on in my head and I don't think I want to go there. Just one other thing. I also noticed that it said sweetener on it, and then underneath, if I understand, it's stevia. Is that right?
Yeah, stevia. So what the company have done, not what they've tried to do, is they've tried to make sure there's no sugars in this. So stevia is a natural plant. Yeah. And the leaf is sweet.
Yeah.
Perfect. It has a particular taste, but it has virtually no calories.
Great.
And we're trained to enjoy sweet things.
Cool. And it's not one of these nasty sweeteners which have got all sorts of a bad reputation, so that's cool.
So the combination of the Biome Actives and the DT are providing your gut with fiber and prebiotic, together with a whole load of nutrients. Bearing in mind, Paul, that you're already changing your diet.
Yes.
So you're getting such a boost. Your gut bacteria going plod, plod, plod. We've been, oh God, this is terrible. And then suddenly, it's like they're at a massive party for bacteria.
Sure.
And they're going, this is quite a nice place to live.
Yeah.
I love it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're having some fermented foods, and they're saying to their mates, the other fermented food, come and join us. This is the place to be. This is where it's at.
Get down. Invite a few hippos.
But your bowel is there to eliminate toxins and things that you don't need from your system.
So might it be at this stage that people may feel a bit sluggish because suddenly it's beginning to eliminate a whole lot of...
It is.
Right.
But sometimes it's a bit worrying because you're used to go in a certain way. Yeah. And suddenly your stool is changing. Yeah. And it's changing because you are stimulating your gut.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is you know, that's why you're starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Because your microbiome is able to fulfill the function that it's there for.
Sure. Do you also recommend increasing water intake?
Definitely you should increase water intake. You should be drinking at least, it's the old mantra, at least 2 liters of water a day.
Yeah.
Perhaps more.
Yeah.
Because basically you're trying to flush your body. You're trying to get rid, you may have not had a healthy diet for years.
Yeah.
And this is a big change. And that's why I'm saying psychologically, think I'm going to do something that I want to finish.
Yeah.
This is a program, there's no point in starting, Paul, unless you're going to see it through for the 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And probably at the end of the 3 weeks, you feel so good. You want to maintain the changes, be it diet related, exercise related, even supplement related. You know, it's there because it's you're you.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself the capability to be who you are.
Well, and also this is why, you know, taking this time, and guys, if you're looking at this and this is the first one of these recordings that you're seeing, you know, start to understand that, you know, how many of us really, really understand how our bodies function or what our bodies need, and also what our bodies don't need. And my suggestion is that you start looking through the other videos, because if you're here because you're saying, right, I want to feel better, I want to have more energy, I want to feel more alive, tired of feeling sluggish, or whether it's being overweight or not sleeping well, whatever, you know, it's like, this is your body. And so the whole point of this is to begin to look at your body. And I know it's an old analogy, but, you know, in terms of if you buy a fancy car, you get bet your sweet life, you're going to look after it. It's the same thing with this body. And so therefore, looking at this, start to educate yourself. Because for me, the more I understand about even this conversation, right? That's why I was asking about cardiovascular and the gut and why that works together. The more that you get to understand on a practical basis how different things work and how they benefit you, then you're in control. I think a big part of this is that actually we've kind of abdicated our responsibility to other people. We kind of most people will buy, you know, poor food. They don't have a regard about how to look after themselves. And then when they need to, they'll come to you, rather than actually going, I can now take complete responsibility for my well-being.
Yes.
And that's what's so exciting.
I love that. And it's not even an analogy. The point you just made, it's our bodies, ours.
Yeah.
We are responsible for what we put into our bodies.
Yeah.
Actually, no one else is responsible. You can say it's your fault, X, Y, Z. We decide what goes into our bodies.
Yeah.
It's only when we start to take that full responsibility and think about what is it we are doing to ourselves, that you can change anything. And if you look at the way that our healthcare system is based, it's only over about the past 50 years, 1970, that we've decided as a society, as Western society, we want pharmaceutical companies to produce synthetic chemicals to cure us of the problems that we are causing ourselves, often through our food and lifestyle choices.
Sure.
And there are things like Chinese herbal medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, which have been around for thousands of years, which are based on diet and plants and nutrition.
Naturopathy, herbal medicine, all that kind of stuff.
So what's happened to 2 or 3 generations of society to make us think that what we're doing is the right way to go?
Yeah.
Because the other thing that's certainly happening is we're getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And the fatter we get, and I'm using that word again, fat, I'm sorry, but that's the word. The more obese we get, the iller we're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's there staring us in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's only by controlling your diet and giving your diet the diversity, giving your body the diversity it needs, that we can make change happen.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It's like, you know, people have so many interests, but when your primary interest is your well-being and this, then suddenly you're in total control. And that is the most empowering thing of all. Okay, so where we got?
Two more things that are in the Purify program. Pro-arginine, which is the cardiovascular support.
Yeah.
This is from the Nobel Prize-winning research in 1998.
Yeah.
It contains arginine and citrulline, which are part of a pathway, a cycle pathway, which helps produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a thing that's vital for blood vessels to function the way that they should do.
Yeah.
It causes blood vessels to dilate, so you get better blood flow going around your whole body.
Yeah.
To your brain, your heart, your lungs, kidneys, liver, skin, muscle, delivering the nutrients, the chemicals, the oxygen, the things that are vital for life.
Amazing. So
when
guys,
your nitric oxide levels are low, Paul, the blood vessels aren't dilated, they're narrow. So it's like your central heating system with a boiler, the pipes are getting furred.
yeah.
You're putting more strain on your heart, your blood pressure goes up, and the consequences of that, I think we know about in terms of things like stroke, heart attack, etc.
Sure, sure.
So it's based on natural compounds. These aren't synthetic. Arginine, citrulline are naturally occurring.
Great.
But again, this contains vitamin C, vitamin D, B6, B12, vitamin K, and folic acid, which are all essential for blood formation and our general well-being.
Perfect. And so that enhances the delivery system and
So
everything
the
else.
reason you take this at the same time is for delivery.
Perfect. So guys, there is a separate video on ProArgy, so check that out if you want a little bit more detail about it, and I encourage you to do so. So again, you're educated and informed on that.
And the final one is the Biome Shake.
Yeah.
And this is the vegan pea protein shake, which has been developed almost, well, it is a meal replacement. You'd have this twice a day, and you'd have a normal meal in the evening of protein, vegetable. And this contains 150 calories per serving.
Okay.
So you're getting nutrients. Not only are you getting nutrients, you're also feeding the gut microbiome, because this also contains 20 grams of protein per serving. You need protein to maintain muscle mass and function, because even though you're reducing your calorie intake to a certain extent, you don't want to waste away. It also contains some fiber. So it's more fiber for your gut. This is a designed product for your gut microbiome. It contains vitamins A, D, C, B1, B2, niacin, B6, folic acid, B12, biotin, zinc, copper, manganese, selenium, iodine, pea fiber, bamboo fiber, inulin, probiotic again,
Right.
flaxseed powder, rice bran, carrot powder, borage oil, cranberry powder, broccoli flower powder, grapeseed extract, black bean powder, adzuki bean, and some beta glucan.
Amazing.
It is packed full of nutrients, minerals, trace elements, things that may have been missing from your diet.
And what do you
going back to that, going back, Paul, just quickly to that party for the microbiome.
Yeah.
Your gut is being supplied from these supplements with every possible thing it needs to thrive. The only thing that needs to change is you, the choices that you are making in what you put in here.
Right. Okay. Now, what do you mix that with?
This,
Yeah.
you can mix it with water,
Okay.
which is what most people do. You can put a bit of fruit in there. You can mix it with milk if you want to.
Dairy milk?
Dairy milk, almond milk, whichever milk type you want.
Okay.
It just depends on how much nutrients you think you need.
Okay.
But it's great just mixed with water
Okay.
and some fruit.
Okay. And I think, am I right in saying, if you need to,
Yeah.
this is
Paul,
about,
just a quick one.
yeah.
This is a vegan product.
Yeah.
So some people wouldn't want to have it with
I understand.
cow milk.
I understand. So one of the things is, I'm just thinking about, so one of the things that I found is that if you pre-plan so that you get into a routine with things, then that really stands you in good stead. So I believe, is it right that Synergy should produce a kind of shaker.
Yeah, yes.
And it's got a section underneath, I think, that you can put a portion of the powder in.
So you can carry it with you. So if you want to take your shake to work, it's a plastic bottle that's got like a spring inside, which helps to mix the powder.
Yeah.
You shake it.
Yeah.
It has got a container in the bottom, and it's got a drinking spout at the top.
Perfect.
So you can take your lunch with you to work.
Yes.
If you embark on the program, and it's a very cleverly thought out little device.
Yeah, exactly. So again, guys, this is make sure that if you're going to do this and you're going to work, I'd really recommend you get one of those, because so from my point of view as kind of coach, here's one of the things that does happen is that if there's any opportunity for your brain to go, oh, I can't do that because I haven't gone blah, 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 then it's an easy cop out to go, I know, I'll go down to KFC or whatever and just go, So this is what I'm saying. Every day, I would really recommend you got 2 meals that are taken care of with this. Plan so that you know what you're going to have for dinner as well. Don't leave it until you get home.
Yes.
I'd really suggest that you go, okay, so especially if you're going to do stuff which is, again, going to boost your immune system and your gut biome, et cetera, then just have it planned so that you're not left exposed any minute going in a wobble where you're going, oh, I could really do with this, because especially if you've got cravings going on, then that is exactly when your internal gremlins are going to go on, one of these can't help, and then you're off it.
Yep.
So really encourage you to think that through. So that's cool.
I think the other important point to make, Paul, is that there's a good support pack that comes with Purify, which runs to about a 50-page booklet, which has got all sorts of menu recipes in the back, different types of foods, really easy sort of 15, 20-minute preparation, if that.
Right.
Things that you can just make, but as you say, you have to pre-plan.
Yeah.
You have to plan.
Yeah. And here's one other thing I also want to add. So if you're watching this and you're used to the world of microwaves where you put something in and you ping it and it's 3 minutes, I want to assure you of a couple of things. One is that if you're doing that, then the nutrition that you're getting from that particular meal, I don't know if it's going to be wiped out, but it's going to be minimal. The second thing is if you're looking at this going, oh, you know what, but this hassle, I don't like cooking, I don't like la, 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 la. A real significant part of this is that this is when you really do begin to understand about what self-care is about. Because if you're telling yourself that you don't have the time to spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes actually preparing a meal, and if everything is rush, I'll tell you one of the things that does is that when you actually start preparing a meal, if you just slow down, you actually factor this in, because self-care is not about running at 1 billion miles an hour. By the way, running at 1 billion miles an hour is going to engender more stress, more adrenaline, which I bet is going to be negative on your microbiome as well. So in terms of this, I'd really encourage you to go, I'm just going to try this out. I'm going to give myself the time to actually explore, find out what it's like. And I promise you, when you let go of, but it's taking all this time, it brings a new value to the meals that you have, because when you're preparing something for yourself, you begin to appreciate it. So I just really, really encourage you to take that on rather than the push button microwave world mentality.
The other thing I would say, Paul, is that there are companies out there like Gusto, for example, who will provide food packages of fresh ingredients, but also simple to follow recipe menus. So even if you've never cooked before and you wouldn't know how to make a meal, I think there's 2 or 3 of those types of company now, who will provide you with the exact ingredients to make a freshly cooked meal, which will tell you the number of calories. They're highly nutritious. There's no food waste. I think this has been a revolution in the past couple of years or so, particularly in this lockdown type period. So there's 3 or 4 of them. Try and have a look at those, and they're affordable. It is much cheaper than going to a supermarket or something and buying a whole, how do I do it? This seems, try one of those companies.
Great idea. And one thing else that I'll add to that is that if you have children, then if you involve them in this, and if you're going, oh, what, really? It's more of this. I'll tell you what, when you're starting to educate your children about food, you're starting to actually create a different environment whereby they get into food preparation. And guess what we get back to? We get back to, and if you're thinking this is boring and old and traditional, the value that there is in a family appreciating food, taking the time for food, valuing that experience, and just sharing, rather than somebody being in front of one of these going, what, scroll, scroll, scroll. I tell you what, you start to really create something even more powerful, which is interaction between you and your siblings, and you're teaching them new habits. Because if you got these habits, I promise you, where do you think they're going to get theirs from? So this is massive. This isn't just about your health. This is about fundamentally how you can create new habits that actually bring something back to the family.
Absolutely, Paul.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Anything else that we need to touch base on with this?
I think the only other thing to say about Purify is that most of the synergy, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not people who are involved with synergy, who will help you through this program.
Yeah.
Will have the capacity to do something called a lifestyle analysis.
Yeah.
And even if you progress no further than doing the first lifestyle analysis, you may be surprised to see exactly where you are.
Yeah.
In terms of your general well-being.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing I will say is that all the people I know who've had a lifestyle analysis and do the Purify program and do the lifestyle analysis again are not surprised at the amount of improvement that there's been in that 3-week time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I went through that with the person that introduced me to this. And first of all, I wasn't surprised, but I was still shocked as to, I mean, you know, I do my own cooking. I always have, but I was still shocked actually at where I was on the scale. So guys, when you're doing this, what you have is you answer a series of questions, and it's almost like there's this graph that's drawn, and you see at what level you're at in terms of your body function. And it covers almost all your body functions, which is why it's so interesting. But then when you do it 3 weeks later, you go through exactly the same questions. And this is absolutely about you answering about how you're feeling, what you're noticing, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can see the levels of improvement. Now, how's it been for you in terms of people that you've taken through? Has anybody not improved as a result of doing
No,
this?
Nobody has got worse from their baseline.
Right. So everybody has improved to one degree or another.
But people improve in different areas. The
Yeah.
majority of people do lose weight because
Yeah.
you've taken control of your nutrition and your eating.
Yeah.
The majority of people's energy levels go up massively.
Yeah.
They're no longer sluggish. The majority of people's positivity goes up. They are less anxious, less fraught. But maybe that's because they're taking control of an important element of their lives, as much as it is the Purify program itself.
Well, I can tell you
and the other big factor, Paul, is sleep.
Yes.
So many of the population have poor sleep patterns, or they go to bed and wake up still feeling fatigued.
Right.
I really have noticed with Purify that sleep patterns are one of the first things to change, and they change quite dramatically.
Right.
For the better.
The interesting thing that I noticed was I experienced a level of calmness that I hadn't had before. So again, when you're talking about anxiety, I don't know if it might have been anxiety, but again, given that my one reason for me doing it was I was really interested in the whole serotonin thing. I can't tell you whether it was serotonin or not that I was suddenly boosting, but I just noticed that I was more centered, but I was calm. It's like the edge had been taken off, which was just fantastic.
Yeah, I can believe it. I fully believe that, Paul.
Yeah, which is why I'm the calm, centered, rational human being. Don't laugh. We were doing so well up till that point. Okay, Rav, thank you so much for that. Anybody that's doing this, I hope you got a lot out of this. Understand about, really taking this on board. Be patient with yourself. Allow yourself the time to go through this. Allow yourself the support from somebody else. They will be operating with your best intentions at heart. You know, really do get as much out of this process in all sorts of different ways that you can. And we'd be really interested, genuinely love to know what you experience. Come back into this Facebook group. Keep us posted. Any questions that you have as you're going through, put it in the Facebook group if you can't get an answer. And also just let us know, because we'd love to know what your before and after are like. Because here's the thing about this. You know, the microbiome, it's recent in terms of research. It's recent as a discovery. The impact is quite extraordinary. And the more people that we can educate, the more people that we can give evidence, not in terms of, you know, kind of hard and fast. I mean, in terms of people going, do you know what? I felt like this. Now I feel like this. This is a difference in my life. This is why I did it. It just encourages more people to start to get well, you know, and really take responsibility for their well-being. So any and all contributions, questions, anything that you got, please bring them into the group, and they'll be really appreciated.
Fantastic, Paul.
Great. Thanks, Rav. Really good stuff. See you soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.